Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Steve Dan and this is my guitar. If you're just joining us, we are in the penultimate episode, episode 9, looking at Wes Montgomery's West Coast Blues from the Incredible Jazz Guitar of Wes Montgomery album from the early 60s. This has been an absolute monster of a series to do, and I've had to slow some of the stuff down for some of you guys on Patreon, because I think it's better to have it slowed down so that you can see exactly what's going on. If you want me to speed it up and do a full transcription sped up, then let me know. But the first half, up to where we go into octaves, is definitely slowed down. This week we're going to be taking a look at the first of two choruses where he uses chords. So there's a bit of a chord soloing primer in here, so there'll be some stuff for beginners and then there'll be some stuff for more advanced players, but there's a bit for everyone in here, so do stay tuned. Over on Patreon is where you can get the backing tracks, the full transcription, and all of the chord scale exercise, arpeggio, etc packs over there for not only this series but for every series that I've done on here, and some extras. And there's also a bit of a community over there as well, so it's well worth dipping over there. I'd like to say a big thanks to all the patrons that have signed up in the last 2 weeks. So big thanks to Evan, Giovanni, Tom, Dennis, Eddie, Matthew, John and Bill. Thanks for your support, guys. It does mean a lot and it does help me to keep the wheels rolling over here. I've started to do some YouTube shorts as well, so let me know whether you think that idea is good and whether it works for you. If you don't want to do a subscription, a monthly subscription, you can just use the Buy Me a Coffee link, which is below. It's just a one-off donation. And if you don't want to do any of that, but you want to show some appreciation for what I've done here, then just like and subscribe and drop me a comment as well. Without further ado, let's get on with the episode and let's look at the first 4 bars. Here we go. So a little note for beginners here. The best thing that you can do if you're a beginner here is to learn lots and lots of different voicings of the same chord, and we do come into this in the lesson, and then to find notes around the chord. Again, we're going to talk about this in these first 4 bars in a second. But the best thing that you can do is to think about your melody being on the top of the chord. So you're holding your chord in the bottom here, and then your melody is in the top. I like to use my 4th finger and my 3rd finger to make a melody with, and just start really, really simply with just like 2 notes. And then gradually, like I just did there, add more notes and more notes in. But you know, phrasing and repetition are the main things, but the more voicings that you've got of the same chord, the more options that you've got, the more opportunities that you've got. But it doesn't have to be really, really complex. You can make a very simple melody by just using the notes that are around the chord. Okay, some fairly speedy stuff in here, and the first thing that I want to take a look at here is the use of approach diminished chords. So approach diminished chords are basically where you place a diminished chord a semitone below the chord that you're approaching. Now, it can be theoretical. You know, you could be looking at doing a diminished chord, a semitone, you know, a leading note before the tonic, or it can completely be non-diatonic, and it can be just a diminished chord that is a semitone below any chord. Here's an exercise for figuring that out. And you can see that Wes kind of does this thing where he goes and then goes into that chord, which is a lovely chord here. This is basically just full of extensions. So you've got the flat 7, the 11th, the 5th, and the 9th in there. So it's a great one to have in your vocabulary. But yeah, his approach chord is, there's the diminished chord there, the G diminished, because he's got an A flat, the flat 7 in the bass. So the G diminished, like I said, isn't diatonic to the chord, you know, the key that we're in here at all. Just remember that officially the key is E flat, but you know, obviously it's a B flat blues, but it's a B flat 7. So, and this will figure in a second, so it's not just random knowledge that I'm giving you here. So yeah, the G diminished doesn't, you know, work really diatonically in B flat or in E flat, but it's just a nice approach chord. So try some of those approach chords that I've given you. You know, like I've shown you, there's a G going into that B flat there, and then there's also the A diminished going into B flat there, and the F, going into this voicing of B flat 13, and then I've given you one as well, going into the 4 chord as well, so D diminished going into E flat. It's not as smooth as the others, but it still works, and I use it quite often as well. And then the other thing that he uses is diatonic chords and as approach chords as well to the final chord that he's aiming for. So like I said, we are officially, really, theoretically, in the key of E flat. So that means that, all of the chords of E flat, work in here. But, like I said, this is a B flat blues. So really, when you've got when you've got a 7th chord as your 1 chord there, it's a bit tricky to kind of nail down the official key signature for it. But having said that, the E flat chords, the harmonized E flat major scale, does work over the top of it somewhat. So these are your diatonic chords. And you can see Wes uses a couple of them. So, the first thing he uses is that F minor there. So F minor going to that G diminished, and then going into that bunch of extensions for the B flat. And then again, over the top of the A flat as well, he uses a similar thing over the top of the A flat as well. So you've got this here, which is obviously diatonic to the key of D flat, which is the notes that you can use over the top of the A flat 7 chord. If you know anything about your modes, you'll know that makes sense, because the Mixolydian mode that you'd use over an A flat 7 would be A flat Mixolydian, and that comes from the key of D flat. So, ergo, the D flat major scale harmonized chords will work over the top of this. So you can see he's using a couple of these kind of diatonic approach chords here, and he uses this kind of similar rhythmic ba 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 da ba 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 da ba ba da ba da da da. And then for the 2/5 that doesn't go anywhere, the tritone 2/5, he then uses notes that are what I like to say around the chord. So here's an exercise for that. This is kind of finding notes that, having your chord here, and then holding that chord, and then finding notes that are around the area. So here's an example of that, just using the B flat 7 chord, and this is just a shell voicing of it. It's using this voicing of it and then finding notes around it so that you can solo with. So, Wes uses this. So he's just moving this chord shape up and down a semitone, and then uses the E flat 7 voicing there, and then goes into a nice diminished chord there, and then these are some different voicings of dominant 7th chords, which we'll come to in the next 4 bars as well. So as always, here's an example of me doing that. There's some basic stuff in there, and then it does get a little bit more intense as we go along the 4 bars. So hopefully there's something in here for everybody. Here we go. Okay, let's take a look at the next 4 bars. Okay, this one's a little bit sparse actually, this one. So here we're talking about notes around the chord and also different voicings for the same chord, which we kind of briefly touched on in the previous bar as well. So we've actually got, kind of almost like a bar and a half of nothing. So he just holds that E flat 9 chord here, and then, goes up and uses another E flat minor 9 kind of shape. And then for the next 2 bars, then after that, lots of different versions of D minor 9 and G7, and then moves that down a semitone, and then we're into the last 4 bars. Here's an exercise looking at different voicings of the same chord so that you've got lots and lots of different options, and they are on all 3 string sets, so going from the top 4 strings to the middle 4 strings to the bottom 4 strings. The bottom 4 strings, you're not going to really use those too often. They're a little bit muddy and they may get lost with a bass player, but they are still there and you've got them for completion. And you may well want to try using them if you're soloing just on your own. But you can see here that Wes uses a lot of different voicings of the same chord here. It's really important to not have just one voicing of the same chord, but multiple ones, so that you can move up and down the fretboard when you're soloing with chords. Okay, let's take a look at the last 4 bars. Okay, so in these last 4 bars, this gets a little bit hairy, but again, lots and lots of different voicings of the same chord. We've got that kind of semitone movement again, and there's a C minor 9 going down to another voicing of C minor down here. And then another voicing, and then another voicing, and then that's like a semitone kind of jump, and then another voicing of C minor 9 here, another voicing, another voicing. So there's tons and tons of different voicings of the same chord. You can see, within 2 bars, we've got at least 4 voicings of the same chord. So it's really important, just like in the previous 8 bars, to make sure that you've got these different voicings of chords. Nice little kind of diminished run up here. So here towards the end, we've got some nice kind of spicy chords. So to begin with, we've got this B flat kind of 6/9, and then we've got a G sharp minor chord voicing here, which is like an approach going to the F sharp major, but it doesn't actually approach the F sharp major. It goes to the D flat, so it's kind of almost like a little bit of a false movement towards F sharp major, a false resolution. And then there's a semitone. This is a G9, the top of a G9, approaching this F sharp major 9 voicing here. And then lots of different voicings of F sharp major, so F sharp major 7 there, and then an F sharp major 9 here as well. And then this chord here, which is kind of like an F sharp minor 6 chord, but you could see it as a flat 9, an F 7 flat 9, but with the flat 9 in the bass. So, and then just a little bit of a melodic movement here, and then a resolution back to B flat 7 there at the end. So lots and lots of spicy chords at the end here. Here's some examples of some spicy chords. And as always, here's an example of me using Wes's ideas, but in my own way. Here we go. Well done if you got through all of that. There's tons in here. Lots for beginners and lots for advanced players as well. I would say make sure that you go through, if you're a beginner, and use a lot of the kind of different voicings of the chords, and also looking at notes around the chord. That's the best place to start. And then with the advanced players, then you can start to play around more with phrasing and adding single notes in, like I did in the middle 4 bars, and then also adding some spicy chords at the end. We've got 1 more week on this, and then I'm going to post a full transcription of it. As I said, let me know if you are vibing with the YouTube shorts. And please do let me know if you've had a go at this yourself, and send me an example and I can give you some free feedback on it. Don't forget to sign up over on the Patreon. The link is on the screen and in the show notes below. Again, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes below as well. And if you just want to like and subscribe, then please do that, because it does mean a lot, and it gets my channel seen as well. And drop a comment. I will see you next time for the very last episode in this series, and then we need to think about a new series after that. Happy practicing. See you next time. Bye.